Today we're going to look at self-care, and we're going to use a 5-inch massage ball, the targeted massage ball, to go over that. We're going to select 7 exercises that are going to be the most pertinent parts of the upper and lower body of somebody that really get sore and really have the tenacity or the ability to pick up a lot of tension due to adhesions that build up in that area, namely the scapula, the rotator cuff, and then we'll get down into the lat, which is that really big tie-in. From there, we'll go to hip flexor, quads, piriformis, and pick up different areas like this. These are all responsible for a lot of rotational movements and holding on to a lot of tension because these are our power-producing areas. So if you're a thrower or a pitcher, you're really going to want to open up that scapula and that rotator cuff. When you're looking to transfer and generate force from the ground through your pillar, you start picking up tension and adhesions in the piriformis. That's the hip stabilizers, the hip flexors obviously, and then a really important and overlooked one is the Quadratus lumborum, or what we call it the QL, and that's essentially between your ribs and your hip. And to be able to open that up, you can really establish some really good rotational range of motion. So these 7 exercises that we've elected to massage today or to release and to knock out the knots and all of the different adhesions in that area. After this session, our subject Tyler today, he's going to feel really opened up and like he can move freely. And that's what I hope from getting out of this, is that as you're bound up and unbalanced, we'll be able to in this session break through those adhesions, allow good blood flow, circulation, lymph, and with compressive forces to rehydrate all of those bound up tissues to restore your body to balance and 100%. So you'll definitely be feeling awesome after this rolling session or this self-myofascial release session. The first exercise we're going to do today is a scapular release. And so I'm going to have Tyler put the targeted massage ball right on the inside of his left scapula between the shoulder blade and the spine. So go ahead and lie back. I'll actually help you put it in position, but it's not real hard to get it there. If your scapula is this big, you put it right there in the middle, again, right between the spine. He's in a hook line position, so his body's slightly off the ground. The idea here now is that that targeted massage ball doesn't move at all. What he's going to do with his left hand is bring your thumb all the way back to the ground here, and then across and dip that thumb in the opposite pocket. Good. And go again. We'll do this about 8 to 10 times. This technique will really keep that ball in there, pin that tissue that's bound up, and then the movement of his arm will help work through those knots, work through those sore muscles or that injury to free up space and create better range of motion in that scapular area. We'll do 8 here, and then you're going to go ahead and repeat this on the right side, just as you did on the left. All right, very good. The next exercise is a rotator cuff release. What we're going to do is, if you can see, the 5-inch targeted massage ball is buried right in the back of his rotator cuff. He's going to be at 90-degree angle, body straight, and knees about 45 degrees or more. They can actually come all the way up. But in this position, now he's going to go ahead and move his arm over where that targeted massage ball is pinning. So go ahead and bring it all the way back. So an external rotation. Good. Into an internal rotation. He can use his opposite hand to gain a little bit more movement in there, and then bring it back. Use your hand to gain more movement in there. So he's got a really flexible rotator cuff, so he's actually able to get some good range of motion. But while he's doing that, that ball and that texture is biting down on that tissue, really opening up, allowing him to get good range of motion. And still maintain good performance gains because he's not hyperextending or hyperstretching that muscle. Also getting good nutrient and blood flow into that area. You're going to do about 8 to 10 reps on the left side, and then repeat the same process in the same position on the right side. The third exercise in this group is a trigger point release for the lats. A little bit painful, but that lat is such a large, important mover and driver of gross motor movements or big movement patterns that it's very important that we free it up. If we can create range of motion in the lat, man, we're going places. So we'll go ahead and get in a position where his knees are up about 90 degrees again. Feet can be down there. The important part is that the targeted massage ball sits right at that lat tie-in point as Tyler stretches his arm through and up and then brings it back down. Again, fight off the will to do kind of this pain face. Try to completely relax your facial muscles, your body as you walk through this pattern. Again, it's the arm that's moving that is activating and creating that lat to stretch, and then the texture on that ball and the ball itself is biting down into that lat. He's gonna do this 8 to 12 repetitions, and he's gonna do this on each side, again, being as long as possible through his arms, reaching his pinky out towards that back wall, really extending that fascia and really causing those adhesions to kind of break through and free themselves so that he can establish that good range of motion. The fourth exercise in this set, now we've moved to the lower body, is we're really going to attack those hip flexors. So we've placed the targeted massage ball right below the waistline on the right-hand side of Tyler's hip. And so right now he's looking for junk. He's looking for maybe a painful area. When he finds it, he really wants to pick on that area. And so if his body weight isn't enough, what he's going to do is go ahead and activate that right leg by pressing his heel back towards the wall, engaging, and then relaxing. And that relax, because of that activation, now that muscle will turn off and it'll allow him to get a little bit deeper. So this is a technique mobilizing the extremity to create spacing where you're actually releasing that trigger point. Again, he's taking that fascial line, extending it, and allowing that point of the targeted massage ball to bite into that hip flexor to create range of motion in that hip joint. At the same time, it's releasing, getting good circulation, blood flow, nice lymph for the immune system, doing a lot of other things, but pretty much targeting range of motion on this one. We're going to do, again, between 10 and 12 repetitions, right-hand side, and then we'll go ahead and pick on that left-hand side as well. The fifth exercise in this series and the second on the lower body, we go from hip flexor right down to a quad release. Now the quad release is super beneficial because, as you can see, quadriceps are such large muscle groups. And so what we do is we're going to use a technique to really help release the trigger points and release this area so that we can have good mobility and range of motion in this front quad. So we've taken the targeted massage ball and put it right on the quad. From this, he can find some garbage or some pain points, but what we're going to do now is we're going to use a phenomena called reciprocal inhibition, or agonist-antagonist, where we want him to turn off the quad for a minute and turn on his hamstring. So go ahead and bend your knee. As he bends his leg here, we're effectively turning on hamstring, turning off quad. As we bring it back down and relax, quad will now disengage completely because we activated a little bit and now it's able to relax. And so we use this technique to help just relax and get a little bit deeper, to activate fascia and then turn fascia off so that the fascia doesn't guard. The quad is a great area where when we put a lot of pressure on it, it'll start to tense up and guard. And so this is a technique that we use to not allow that to happen. As he goes down, he's going to now walk maybe an inch or two forward. Rest, activate, relax, let the ball do the work, and then move it an inch further as we walk all the way down to the lower quad area, into the VMO, and into the muscles surrounding that knee. But again, don't do this quickly. So the rep count on this, depending on how long that quad is, could be 6 reps, it could be 7 reps, could be 15 reps. So just take it from your hip flexor or the top of your quad all the way down to the top of your knee, and it'll be a pretty good massage pattern all the way down that leg. Make sure you go nice and slow, spending more time on the sore areas, and then don't forget to do the other side as well. The sixth exercise of this series is a Piriformis release. And so we've placed the ball, the Piriformis is right below the belt line, right above the gluteal muscles. So one of the ways that we've really exposed that Piriformis muscle is by crossing this leg over. It pulls those glutes nice and tight, really exposing the tissue. And then we put the 5-inch massage ball, the target massage ball, right on that area. And now what Tyler's gonna do is try to find that point that is a little bit painful. Once he finds that, he's just gonna stay on it and do the small circular movement, not big rolls, because this is, again, a targeted trigger point release ball. And so we're looking just to trigger very small movements around and around, really trying to free up that piriformis. That piriformis is really an overused muscle. And what happens is the piriformis and two of the glute muscles pull real tight and form this triangle. And you have your sciatic nerve that goes right between that triangle. And a lot of times when that piriformis gets too tight and pulls, it'll pull on that sciatic nerve, causing a lot of pain. Some people will call it piriformis syndrome. Others will mistake it for sciatica. But really it's that piriformis. So if we can release that, it allows us to create range of motion and space, and again, take probably some tension and stress off that low back as well as the hamstring and the glute. So we're gonna do this. I don't know that there's any reps associated with this, so maybe a good 20 to 30 seconds. Certainly if it's in a lot of pain and we need to recover more, we can do it for about 60 seconds, and then we'll go ahead and repeat this on the other side. The last exercise in this series is the QL, or the Quadratus Lumborum release. This is kind of a painful one, but it is one of the most important ones because that QL is essentially found between this upper hip and the rib cage. And our ability to create space in there allows for so much rotation and mobility. It actually will help you breathe better. It helps with the diaphragm's ability to breathe and move. And again, if you're a sports athlete, to transfer and to connect force. And so it becomes really important. So Tyler is putting this targeted massage ball right here between his rib cage and his hip, this hip bone here. And then he's gonna start in this position, but as we look at this fascial line that sits through there, he's gonna wanna eventually start walking that elbow out. As he takes some deep breaths, each exhale of that deep breath, we want that targeted massage ball to go further and further to really start unlocking and unhinging what's bound up and tight. This is one of those ones that you really want to use your breathing to relax that diaphragm and relax that midsection so it can open up, so it can extend. He can also take this bottom leg and start extending that long. This one can actually sit tall or stay in that position. But again, taking the left leg, left arm, that entire fascial line and stretching it out and really trying to create that prodding motion, that massage motion right in that QL to open up that area. And so we're gonna hold this, it's actually really good, it's getting really deep there, for a good, again, 30 seconds. If there's pain and you want more alleviation, you can go ahead and do it for about a minute. But again, we'll do it on this side and then make sure that you do it on the other side as well, and to really hit both of those QL muscles. So that's a wrap up using the targeted massage ball, the 5-inch massage therapy ball, to take you through a full body trigger point release session, really focusing on the 7 different muscles that really get tied up and bound up during your activities of daily living or as a sports athlete. Those are the ones that usually will pull on a lot of those adhesions. So the ability to free those up, create balance and harmony back into your body is exactly what you're looking for when you look at self-care with the targeted massage ball.